Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today we reflect on the death of former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga, a key figure in multi-party democracy. In Madagascar, Colonel Michael Randrianirina is appointed interim president after Rajoelina fled amid protests and military defections. Germany is urged to rethink its engagement with Africa for critical minerals. COMESA launches a cross-border digital payment system connecting Malawi and Zambia, while Kenya passes the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill regulating cryptocurrencies. Arrie Hougaard reports on South Africa's current affairs, sports and entertainment, giving a full view of today's continent-wide developments. My name is Ashwin Bedi. This is Africa Good Morning. Top story shortly. Get ready to stay connected with ShopRite's big daily data competition. Buy any 2 items on promotion at ShopRite, then send your till slip to the ShopRite WhatsApp number, and you could be one of 60 daily winners of $65 data. The competition runs from 13 to 19 October, and winners are announced the following day. ShopRite, bigger savings, bigger rewards. Hashtag. Raila Amolo Odinga, a towering figure in Kenyan politics and former Prime Minister, died on 15 October at the age of 80 while undergoing medical treatment in Kochi, India. Odinga's career spanned decades of activism, reform and electoral politics. He contested 5 presidential elections, often challenging results and claiming widespread irregularities, most notably pushing for the annulment of the 2017 presidential election before eventually boycotting the rerun. As a champion of multi-party democracy since 1991 and a key architect of Kenya's 2010 constitution, Odinga played an instrumental role in shaping the country's political landscape. Known for his persistent advocacy of democratic reforms, he fostered political dialogue and sought to unify disparate opposition factions across multiple election cycles. International observers frequently recognized his influence in East African politics, citing his dedication to institutional reform and civic engagement. His passing represents a profound moment for Kenya, as citizens and leaders alike reflect on a legacy marked by resilience, reform, and unwavering commitment to democratic principles that shaped the nation's governance for generations. May he rest in peace. Madagascar's political crisis deepened when the nation's top court officially invited Colonel Michael Randrianirina to serve as interim president following President Rajoelina's sudden departure. Rajoelina fled the country amid growing protests led by Gen Z activists and defections within the elite CAPSAT military unit. The court declared the presidency vacant and emphasized that elections must be held within 60 days to restore constitutional governance. This decision comes after escalating unrest due to widespread corruption, shortages of essential resources, and rising cost of living pressures that fueled public demonstrations across the capital and regional cities. Randrianirina, previously a military commander, assumed control of state affairs while pledging to maintain order and ensure a transition toward democratic elections. Observers note that this development reflects a rare instance of judicial intervention in a political power vacuum, marking a pivotal moment in Madagascar's fragile democracy. International organizations have expressed concern but urged peaceful transition and respect for constitutional timelines. The unfolding events signal a period of uncertainty for the island nation's governance and, of course, its stability. The Sub-Saharan African Initiative of German Business, SAFRI, has urged Germany to fundamentally rethink its policy toward Africa, highlighting the continent as a key strategic partner rather than a mere recipient of aid. In a statement released yesterday, SAFRI called for legally binding agreements with African nations for critical raw materials such as lithium, copper, and cobalt, which are essential for Germany's clean energy and technology sectors. The initiative warns of increasing global competition for these minerals, particularly from China, which currently dominate supply chains. Safri also emphasized that Germany should strengthen trade and investment partnerships through the African Continental Free Trade Area and other regional frameworks. The association argued that a holistic Africa shift would promote mutual economic benefits while enhancing geopolitical stability. German business leaders stressed that without such strategic engagement, Germany risks supply disruptions and lost opportunities for sustainable industrial growth. This policy shift would align economic incentives with diplomatic efforts, aiming for long-term partnerships rooted in shared prosperity, regional integration, and secure access to vital resources. The Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, launched a digital retail payments system this month designed to facilitate cross-border trade using local currencies. The initiative, which initially connects Malawi and Zambia, aims to reduce dependence on the US dollar, lower transaction costs, and promote economic integration among member states. By targeting small and medium enterprises, which constitute the bulk of employment and commerce in the region, the platform seeks to make trade more efficient and accessible. The digital system is built in partnership with private financial service providers and regional banks to ensure secure, real-time payments across borders. Kenyan trade authorities described the platform as a transformational tool for intra-African commerce, highlighting the potential for expanded regional economic activity. COMESA's leadership views the initiative as a strategic step in deepening financial interoperability among its 21 member countries, supporting broader goals under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Early trials will inform scaling across additional nations with the expectation of fostering economic resilience and reducing foreign currency reliance for regional trade transactions. In the last of our top stories, Kenya's parliament passed the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill, establishing a legal framework for cryptocurrencies and digital financial assets. The legislation provides the central bank with authority to license virtual asset service providers, while the Capital Markets Authority oversees digital exchanges. This framework is designed to protect consumers, prevent illicit financial activity, and attract investment in the rapidly growing fintech sector. Lawmakers emphasized the importance of regulating digital assets to encourage innovation while minimizing systemic risk. The bill also introduces requirements for security, transparency, and operational standards for service providers. Financial analysts have noted that Kenya's adoption of structured crypto regulations positions it as a regional leader in digital finance, potentially drawing both domestic and international investment. The law is expected to enhance financial inclusion by making blockchain-based services more accessible and reliable for a broad spectrum of businesses and consumers. By formalizing the regulatory environment, Kenya signals its commitment to harnessing technology as a driver of economic growth and financial modernization. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be talking to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report straight from Mzansi. He is based in Cape Town. And of course, we will still have so many more stories stemming from the rest of Africa. But prior to all of that, let's take a quick break.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
It's time for us to talk to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report. Good morning, Arrie. How are you?
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin. Nice to talk to you this morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good to have you on the show, Arrie. In your current affairs, Southern agriculture showed a positive trajectory in the third quarter, despite the lingering challenges of the livestock sector. Also, gold continues to strengthen, but South African investors are set to miss out on the current boom. It's going to be interesting. The Transnet National Ports Authority issued a request for the private sector to partner with them in the Cape Town port, and this is related to extended storage needed for seafood products. And if there's one thing that Cape Town needs, it's seafood products.
Yes, indeed, Ashwin. It's agriculture that's a big component of the South African economy, of course. And so there's summer crops and there's winter crops. So it's interesting how that played out. But it's been the third quarter. So reports from the third quarter. It is positive trading, positive trends, at least in the agriculture. But like you mentioned, the lingering challenges in the livestock is a challenge for the South African economy. So just briefly, the summer grains and oilseed, they did the best in the third quarter. They're up 28% year by year. That is the production surge. And so that was good performance by them. There's a total around 80 million tons. That was indication in the third quarter. So that is the challenge. So that is the livestock. Livestock there's the risk of foot and mouth disease. That is still a big challenge in South Africa at the moment. They're trying to contain it. There's been areas that's been closed off close to the Namibian border as well. So that is a big challenge for South Africa at the moment, how they handle that. So the summer grains did well. The winter grains, winter crops did 4% better. And it was mainly because of pests and also later season dryness that didn't help there as well. And then the wine industry is still on edge. The one industry that's really relying in certain components on the USA and trade agreements. It's difficult to believe, but South Africa exports $659 million of wine to the USA. That's amazing. That's a huge volume of wine. So the wine industry is very anxiously looking at a new trade agreement, hopefully with the United States as well. Then gold, as you mentioned, yes, the run continues, and it's mostly linked to the uncertainties in the world because of different reasons. And then gold is a good place to go, and it's still above 4,000. It's 1,141, strongest run since 1979. And South Africa not one of the top producers anymore, and that's the reason why South African it's said that private sector will not really benefit on this run as they could have. So it is the production is low. So South Africa used to produce, let's take 1990 as an example, produced 605 metric tons of gold. That's a huge volume of gold. You can see the gold just being there to be taken out. But now it's only 50 metric tons. So South African investors, they not going to miss out on this boom, unfortunately, in that sequence. They say the reality is just for the last 150 years, we've taken out most of the gold. So that's just a reality. But there's still many left. But the production at the moment is 50 metric tons. That is annually. Lots of gold anyway. Many of the ports have specific things they focus on, like Durban is more for cargo, Saldanha is more for the iron ore, and then Cape Town is known for more for the exports of fish and vegetables and fruits. So fish is a big component in South Africa, and so they sent out a notice, they issued the request for the private sector to bid for a cold storage facility in the Cape Town harbour. So there's lots of volumes of tons of fish that go through that facility. They cannot handle that on their own. So at the moment, the catches in South Africa annually is 600,000 tons of fish that comes through that area. So it is lots of volume that's been handled, and it's mostly anchovy and also hake and sardines. And so it's good to see that Transnet do open up to say that they want to partner with the private sector. So hopefully that will all go well. Cape Town is an important component in the harbours for Transnet in what's happening in the economy. So Ashwin, that is the current news at the moment in South Africa.
All right, Arrie, much to reflect on over there, but some really potent positives. Speaking of potent positives, the South African men's football team Bafana Bafana made the country proud in Southern Africa by qualifying for the 2026 FIFA Football World Cup in the USA. A little bit of a disclaimer there. Yes, Zimbabwe made it more difficult for South Africa to qualify, but we are in full support now. We just wanted to make sure they were well motivated. And also, Arrie, South African women's cricket team currently play in the 50-over Cricket World Cup, and the team plays Sri Lanka this week.
Yes, Edwin, I think it was a good performance by Zimbabwe in that game in Durban. They definitely not going to give that game on a plate for South Africa. So that was good to see. But that woke South Africa up probably as well. But they needed a big favor from Nigeria, as we all know by now. And that is what happened. But they still had to beat Rwanda. So that was impressive. They beat Rwanda by 3-0. So it was a very exciting game. That quite convincing. Other times you can battle to win those games. But they won at 3-0. And then there's the celebrations. They know they're going off to the World Cup in 2026. And then Nigeria, they beat Benin quite convincingly by 4-0. And I think South Africa, quite fortunate that Zimbabwe and Nigeria found their form so late in all these 10 playoff games. South Africa through, so it's a great achievement. That is Hugo Broos. He is from Belgium, and Hugo Broos is 73 years old, and he's been a coach for many years for South Africa, and he did help them to put more discipline and more cohesion into their team. So he made a big difference in South African football. So he's a great acquisition. But he said after the 2026 World Cup, he's going to step down. It seems like he did play in it as well when he was younger in the World Cup. Now he's going to be a coach as well. So that is the football good news for South Africa. First time South Africa, Bafana playing in the World Cup in 24 years. So also the cricket briefly, South Africa playing in the 50 over the one-day World Cup. That is women's cricket. That is in India and also in Sri Lanka. That's taking place. And South Africa plays Sri Lanka next. That is on Friday. That's South Africa play, and they have 2 more games after that. That's against Pakistan and also against Australia. That will be a tough one. That is next week, Saturday. That's all in the group phases. Hopefully South Africa can get into the semi-finals, the top 4 of the 8 teams. Great performance by them. Already losing the first game, winning the next 3. So they're in a good spot at the moment. So that is sports news. The South African woman making us proud, and that is the new hero, Nadine de Klerk. And she was the one player that in the last 2 games managed to get the last runs and hit the winning runs with a 6. So she's a very good player for South Africa. That's sports news in South Africa.
Well, Arrie, we certainly wish the ladies all the best with regards to Bafana Bafana. Good thing you be in the USA checking out the stadiums yourself, making sure everything's good before the boys go and compete. In entertainment, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correct, Arrie, do correct me if I'm not. Langaban is just more than an hour's drive from Cape Town and a popular tourist destination, with the lagoon being the center of attractions.
Yes, very good pronunciation there, Ashwin. It's a Langaban indeed, and it's Afrikaans word, and it's 120 kilometers just straight north from Cape Town, as you would direction of Namibia, going straight up north. And it is a good tourist spot, and it's very popular for Cape Townians as well. The West Coast is very popular, and the Langaban is known for the lagoon. So that's part of the big lagoon, and one area that is very popular there is Mykonos, Club Mykonos, that you can see there on the left. So Club Mykonos is situated on that lagoon, and it was inspired by the Greek way of living. So there's good accommodation, good restaurants, also a casino there, and it was started in 1988. So that's one of the attractions in Langaban. But also the lagoon, it's 17 kilometers wide at some places and 14 or long. It's 17 kilometers long and 14 wide. So it's a natural lagoon. You can see the tide coming in and out. So it's lots of people, popular for seafood, of course. And then the West Coast National Park, you can see the flowers, you can see the birds. That's what you get at Langaban at the West Coast National Park. There's 300 species of birds. That's just one of them there. There's 299 more to see if you go there. And the flowers is obviously in springtime. It's beautiful to go there. It's a great place to visit. And then in town, you can have well, look, now it's 398, and there's another one. So it's beautiful birds. And in town, there's lots of good cuisine. It's seafood cuisine, it's crayfish, and it's good restaurants. It's a bit of a Mediterranean feel, if you like. So that is Langebaan. So maybe, Ashwin, when you come visit again, not if, when you visit again, we've got about 10 places to visit around Table Mountain. This is one we can do for a road trip, go up to Langebaan.
After a couple of weeks, do have a fantastic trip up there.
Thank you, Ashwin. Nice talking to everybody. Bye-bye. Be blessed. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to take a quick break before we return with our last story of the day. Now, yesterday was the conclusion of the National Nuclear Science and Technology School Outreach Campaign, which is funded by the Chevening Alumni Program Fund, an initiative to teach students around Namibia about nuclear science, initiated by Namibia's Chevening alumni Nelawa Njala, a nuclear environmental physicist, with support from the British High Commission, the Ministry of Health and Social Services, the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports, Arts and Culture, the Atomic Energy Board of Namibia, the University of Namibia, and Rossing Uranium. Also speaking at the event was Dr. Herman, with students in attendance.
I'm a Chevening alumni. In 2022, I got a scholarship to go and study at the University of Glasgow in Scotland. So you can say I am nuclear and environmental physicist. To bring professionals in the industry across the country to all the 14 regions, to inspire and motivate the young minds, and hopefully foster a new generation of skilled professionals.
So if you want to study further and lead the world, it starts with the atom. So now, having taken that, let me tell you that today in the world, because you are still seeing yourself as learners from the region and learners from some constituencies around Namibia, from what school that you are trying to tell me. But let me tell you that you are global leaders. That's where you are standing. You are global leaders. We need physicists, researchers, innovators, designers. We need mechanical engineers. We need engineers of reactors. We need operators of nuclear reactors. This is not a small undertaking. This is huge. And I think the fact that you have already made the first step to take up this position is because you are telling yourself that you have a responsibility.
A worthy cause indeed. Thank you for joining Africa Good Morning on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, oneupto.com. That's ONEUPTWO.com, where you can click the echo icon and have a look at this and other NTV programs, because on oneupto.com, Echo Primetime is anytime. My name is Ashwin Betty. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow and wrapping up the week on a high note. Sweda Jaganaka.